Hi and welcome back to the House of the Stag YouTube channel for part 2 of our Q&A. Thanks again for submitting so many questions. What would you guys think about doing one per month now? Let me know if you would want that. I used to do this very frequently on Instagram. I just like getting in touch with you guys, and maybe we'll do a weekly episode Q&A once House of the Dragon actually airs. Anyways, you know how it goes, so let's get into it. Damien asks, will George R. Martin change the ending of the books due to the disaster of the show? He could be, at least smaller parts of the bigger picture. But I'd say it's more likely that he would change the ending because, well, that's what he does. Like, all the time. George rewrites, scraps, and probably burns chapters. He's very critical of himself and his writing, and that is one of the key reasons why we're still waiting for the release of The Winds of Winter. Could the ending of the show and the response by fans cause him to do even more rewrites, scraps, and, as I said, burning? Yeah. Because George actually cares about that. He mentioned that so many times in all kinds of interviews. Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire are of course two completely different versions of one story, but it wouldn't be crazy to think that he re-evaluated some plot points after seeing the response. Next one. Anshuman asks, do you think Lady Stoneheart might have been a mistake? No. Definitely not. I think she adds to not only Brienne's and Jaime's character development in the books. She might also be a key player in Arya's or Sansa's development should they ever encounter each other, especially if she's involved with the northern politics, even if it's just passing on Robb's will and not going back to herself. Let's look at the show. The absence of Lady Stoneheart in Game of Thrones wasn't bad because Lady Stoneheart is such an important character. It was bad because Brienne did a whole Westeros tour without really doing anything that enhanced her growth as a character. Jaime went to Dorne and we all know how that went. These very important characters suffered heavily because the writers of the show didn't come up with something meaningful to replace Stoneheart. It all remains to be seen if we could really just so easily do without Catelyn. I read that everywhere, but unless I get to read what Lady Stoneheart's character is really up to, what her endgame is and what plan she's following, I can't say that her character is neither a mistake or replaceable. Darkstar44 asks, if Stannis is able to conquer the north, do you think he will have other lords from the kingdoms trying to ally with him? I don't think so. The Martells will likely side with Aegon, the Tyrells could follow, and the Vale has stayed neutral. That might change now, but siding with Stannis, even temporarily, wouldn't gain Littlefinger anything. That leaves the Ironborn, the Lannisters, and eventually Dany. Big nope. Astronomically big nope. I don't think Stannis will get to ally with anyone. I think he's going to die in the Winds of Winter. However, if he doesn't die, it's still hard to see him abandoning the north after everything he knows. He went north to save the realm to win the kingdom. Going south would mean another turnaround and I don't see that happening. Let's face it, fellow Stanner women and Stanner men, the one true king will not sit on the Iron Throne. This takes us right into the next one. Mystery Junkie asks, will Stannis take Winterfell and offer Ramsay as a burnt offering to the Lord of Light? Yeah, and unlikely. I think Stannis will win the Battle of Ice and take Winterfell. I talked about how he does it in great detail. Go check out our discussion with Andy McClay or our Stannis podcast episode if you want our full breakdown of it. But to sum it up real quick, I believe that Stannis is going to lure the Freys into the Ice Lake, win and then take the enemy clothing to be granted with his entry into Winterfell. I think the Boltons really believe he's dead, only for him to use it to his advantage. Roose and Ramsay are a total wildcard for me, however. Roose is very intelligent, so it's hard for me to see him go out the way he did on Game of Thrones, but who knows, it's not impossible. Ramsay, on the other hand, definitely has it coming for him, but as easy as Stannis taking the castle and simply burning him, I don't know and I don't think so, to be honest. Theon would deserve this kill. Jon killing him would be interesting as well, and yet Stannis killing him would fit the way George deals with stuff like this. It's a tough one. Let me know what you think is going to happen, down below. Allegria asks, when are you getting Stephen Delane on your podcast? Next Wednesday on the 27th of April. Nah, I'm joking, if only. That would of course be the dream, right? The man does not seem to like Game of Thrones, nor does he seem to be the type of person to even consider for a second to do stuff like this, going on a podcast. Also, you're probably joking, but we're at 800 subs right now, so let's stay realistic. We definitely plan to have members from the cast on for future episodes of our podcast. I absolutely love hearing their perspective of things, and to get some insight straight from the set is always great. I especially loved the fan and cast interactions. That was one of the things that I loved the most about the good old fan page times on Instagram. I will never forget the messages I got when Gavin Anthony, who played Renly, did the Q&A. A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones fans are very passionate about this stuff. I'm not different in that regard, and I will always make sure to involve you guys as much as I can if I ever get the chance to do stuff like this. Let's see, I'm already working on a few things, but you'll know when I do. If only there was a show with a whole set of new cast members. HippieGris47 asks, what do you think about the relationship between the Targaryens and their dragons versus Skinchangers? I don't think these two are as similar as people think. Yes, there's definitely something there. The Targaryens have hundreds of years of history about the bond with their dragons, but for me it's something else entirely to have the ability to fully take control over multiple beings at once, like Varamir Sixskins for example. No one ever walked a dragon. I interpret dragon dreams very differently to the ones that the Star Kids have. I see where people are coming from though, and they might be onto something when we look back to the old days of Old Valyria. House Targaryen was just a small house there, so they might not have had the same access to a whole different kind of dragon magic as other Valyrian houses. As with so many things, something might have been lost, and maybe we'll get a mix towards the end of our series. A mix between the ways of Old Valyria and the warging abilities of the true North. Kelsey asks, what would your ideal story be for Shireen? My ideal story, that's difficult, but I'd love tragedy. With meaning. Something for the greater good. We know that she'll burn. It's confirmed, but I hope that the circumstances will give her death some purpose. And if you look at where we leave these characters, those circumstances are quite different in the books. Stannis is not just going to burn his daughter because of bad weather. Look what that man endured during the Siege of Storm's End. Shireen is not with her father at the Crofters village. She stayed behind at the wall. So there's gonna have to happen quite a lot before Stannis could even think about kinslaying. He's not just going to send a raven with the order of burning his only heir alive. He just sent Justin Massey away to Essos for sellsword reinforcements, and similar to Robb Stark, made his will. I can see two scenarios happening here. The second one is the one I'm leaning towards more at the moment, after firmly believing the first one for years. The first one. Melisandre burns Shireen without Stannis' permission. The Pink Letter claims Stannis died, and we have yet to see the chaos unfold at Castle Black. You don't need permission from a dead man, so this might be happening while everyone believes Stannis is dead. Only death can pay for life, and maybe it is Shireen's death that will pay for Jon Snow's life. Waking Dragons from Stone. We're going to get a very interesting Melisandre chapter, and it's probably going to be very revealing for a lot of big picture stuff. Patchface is also a factor that you should pay close attention to. It doesn't really get creepier than that, and who knows what he's capable of. Moving on, number 2, and the one I'm leaning towards the most. Stannis successfully retakes Winterfell. The Winds of Winter ends with the others arriving and attacking an unprepared Northern alliance. Stannis would then sacrifice Shireen to try to save the world in an attempt to fulfill the Nissa part of the Azor Ahai prophecy, only for it to fail. Stannis, a character so righteous and driven by duty, is just destined for failure. This one would be his last. Paul asks, did you ever consider doing your podcasts with a cam? Alright, listen, eventually I want to do everything on cam, but I just gotta do my homework. We took this whole year to figure this whole YouTube thing out, and I really mean that, like, we didn't know anything, like, nothing. I was a complete newbie to the whole field. So of course it just started out as a audio-only podcast. Yeah, we got a bit more comfortable lately. Especially if you look back to the podcasts we have with Eric or Andy or Miltos. Those were on cam. But as I said, eventually I want to do everything on cam, like every single video. But I just gotta learn this whole shit, you know? I didn't even have a computer before I started working on the channel. So first it was all about figuring out this whole audio stuff, how to visualize it a bit. And I don't know, if you go back, even videos 3 months ago, I physically cringe at it. Like, it's a weird thing. But yeah, I have millions of ideas every day. My mind is racing when it comes to the channel, and yeah, definitely we will do lots more camera stuff. I want to get to the point where it's all on camera and where I can only like show little things here and there and pull something up. Man, as I said, I have so many plans. I already have plans for something huge in like December. More on that when it's time. But yeah, gotta do my homework. Gotta learn how to do it. How to really speak on camera. Like, this is only like a shitty little webcam. I would have to get a proper one, and yeah, it's everything has its time. But absolutely, I have a lot of plans for this channel. And that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, as it really helps with the algorithm. We're on the road to our first 1000 subs now, which is awesome. Take care, thank you, and see you later.